Programming made possible by Kentucky American Water, VisitLex, horse capital of the world.
Right now, we're on our way to Nicholasville, Kentucky, to check out our last stop, Chrisman Mill Vineyard.
What a place you got here. Kyle Lake.
Hey Kyle, Chris Nelson. Welcome.
Chris, good to meet you.
Nice to see you at Chrisman Mill.
Chrisman Mill. What are we standing around here? We got some very tiny grapes here. It's gonna take a lot of these to make a bottle of wine.
We're here in early June, so we've got our grapes now at with the stage called Berry Touch. So they had a bloom about 3 weeks ago. Little tiny flowers have produced now these grapes that are starting to grow into little clusters that you can see here. It's called Berry Touch because the berries or the individual grapes are starting to touch each other within the cluster.
And what type of grapes are these, did you say?
This is a red grape called Chancellor. This is an older French-American hybrid variety. And we use this in our sweet red wine and our blush wine. We tried it initially for dry red. It just didn't have the oomph and the tannin and the body that we liked for a dry red wine. So we've really kind of migrated more to putting this into our sweet wines.
Now how many, these are rows. What are these called here that we're looking at? We're walking down here.
This will be a row, just as you said.
Okay.
We have, this is called a bay between the posts. We have 3 vines in every bay. We separate the vines based on how they grow vigor-wise. The basic structure of the vine is a trunk, of course, just like a tree. And then we train 2 arms that go on the bottom wire, and then the shoots come up from that. And each year we prune the shoots back down to only the buds that we want to grow shoots for the next year.
After they're harvested, you have to plant these every year, or do they come back?
No, these are a perennial crop, so they are planted once, hopefully, and they'll give fruit if taken well care of for at least 20 years, maybe 30. These vines are approaching their 18th growing season now, or in their 18th growing season, so they've been out here in the Kentucky winters and summers for a long time, so they're pretty tough.
These vines are old enough to vote, just so you know.
Yeah, they are. For this variety, this is one of our earliest varieties, about mid to the 3rd week in August every year.
Okay.
That's when this grape will come in. As you said, this is a red variety. The color change is called variation by the French, and that is an occurrence where the red grapes go from green to red, and the white grapes, as we call them, or yellow grapes, if you like, go from green to that golden yellow color.
Right. And who would we talk to about some of these varieties? Somebody there, I think I heard, actually helped plant some of these way back in the day.
They did. We have some of our earliest volunteer friends who are here with us today to tell you a little bit more about how we got started.
Our entire family ended up volunteering to plant vines. We started putting in Chancellor vines, and you can still see those vines here on the vineyard today. It's wonderful to be able to see the rolling hills and all of the vines, the different lots, and it looks like you're in the middle of France. It's incredible. And speaking of France.
Donc bonjour, je m'appelle Marie de Tuile. Marie de Tuile. I'm a student in a French agriculture school, and I came here for 3 years ago as an intern, and it's with pleasure that I'm back this year. Je reviens cette année avec grand plaisir. But what is interesting and that nobody knows actually is that Kentucky was a state that was chosen to grow vines at first in America, in all America, for the special reason that the climate was very similar to the French climate. Lorsque nous avons été touchés par le phylloxéra, when we had the crisis of phylloxera in France that was devastating all the vineyards, they used an American hybrid from Kentucky to kind of save our grapes. Cette petite anecdote.
Now, our special tie-in to the water at the vineyard here is that water obviously is critical to growing excellent quality wine grapes. And the way that the soil handles the water is critical in that process. As I explained in the vineyard, our soils here are very heavy clay, and clay is like a sponge. It takes the rainwater and it soaks it up slowly, but it lets it go very slowly to the vines as well. A lot of it trickles off down the hillside and runs off as erosion. But the parts that the vines capture, the magic of the water, is turned into the juice that then we ferment into wine right here in the winery. So I think we've talked a lot about wine. Let's go have a tasting and try some of it.
We have learned a little bit about where these grapes are grown, What happens once they're harvested?
Right.
And now they are in the bottle.
And that's the best part.
What? Yeah. I think the fun stuff's getting ready to happen. So what do we have here? Tell me about the different types we've got going on.
Okay, well first let me say that wine pairing and tasting is completely subjective. So if you find something that you really like and you think it pairs well with a food, then by all means go with that. There's no right or wrong rules with pairing.
So no rules.
No rules.
I like that already.
Rules.
All right. Sounds
okay. Good. Here we have our sweet wines. Okay. And sweet wines typically pair well with cheeses. So we have a brie here with figs and walnuts. They're really good with appetizers, the start of the meal. It's great to start out with a sweet wine. White wines, traditionally white wines go well with chicken, fish, your lighter meats. We have 3 of our reds. One is not oaked, 2 of them are oaked, and those typically go really well with your darker meats, pastas, things that are a little bit heartier. So here we have a London broil with some spinach feta, and we actually have a fig Norton puree to go with them. So that's really, really good. And finally what we have is we have dessert wines. And dessert wines can either be drank by themselves as dessert, which our chocolate wine is really, really good for that. Or you can pair them. So we've got our blackberry wine here paired with our blackberry truffles.
Sorry, I'm terribly distracted. I simply must see if this is. There's a blackberry in there. Okay.
Yeah, there's a blackberry in there.
And these are very small wine glasses.
Yes, it does not take a lot to really, yeah, you don't want to drink a whole glass of this.
Let's try it.
Let's do it. Thank you.
It was an absolute blast, and I can't wait to do it again.
Sounds like a plan.
Until next time,
We'll see you downstream.